sort of got 50 kilometres or so to do to the end of the race. We've got the Alsenberg, that's a rather massive climb yet to happen ahead of the riders, and so I think that's where it might all erupt. But to find Marino Argentin out on his own, undefended by the Ariosto team, that is certainly something that is quite surprising as far as race followers of cycling would be concerned, because Argentin is not normally the man this far out for the finish you'd find riding off on his own. But I think he's had a disappointing season so far, so perhaps he decided now is the time to show his mettle. He was looking, I think, for a much better position in the World Championship in 50 kilometres that Argentin can be caught. That's a hell of a difference, 6:55. The earlier time checks, he'd been going away all the time, and now we actually got it at 6. I mean, that's thick end of 7 minutes. 50 kilometres yet to go. Let's see. And we are in fact now looking at Eddie Schur from Holland, the TDM rider. And his problem now is that he's likely to be the first one that gets swept up, if he's not careful, by the chasing group behind him. And I think that probably 4.5 minutes down on Argentin, he's just got to, I think, sit in there now and expect that at some point in time he's going to get swept up by the chasers. But at least he's got himself on telly, and the big bunch behind him, I'm sure, will be the first to sweep up this rider. And in reality, of course, as far as Eddie Schur is concerned, a great friend over the years of there, number 82, Alan. Argentin also gets reeled in by this very, very fast-moving peloton, all desperate, I think, to this finish will be 40 sprinters in Brussels. So one by the lone escapers get very clearly in sight, and then the main field can soon sweep them up. What a great disappointment then for Schur and for Argentin to realise. But then, I say that, of course, you never know once they get very close. It's often happened before that the one rider on his own up in front just hangs on for grim death and finds some more strength from somewhere. But these dead, long, straight roads, I've actually checked this one, but it looks to me like an old Roman road. It's the equivalent of the Fossway across Great Britain, because there, this long, straight stretch, and a helicopter now going out to pick Sean Kelly almost within sight to finish, and now there's only 55 seconds back to Zuidevok, who's clopped away. We didn't see him go, by the way, so my apologies for not picking that one up. And I think that Zuidevok probably won't stay out there very long, but we'd like to see, I think once they snaffle him, last 6 have had 6 hours of riding, and just look at the way they're going. 40 seconds now. Well, Argentin surely can't hang on to this one. And very active there, the Motorola rider, and that's Phil Anderson, always near the head of affairs. Motorola doing very well at the moment because Lance Armstrong has been riding extremely well. Taking that. There he is. Argentin now reeled in by this fast-moving bunch who are heading out toward the finish in Brussels at the end of this Paris-Brussels race. Well, we call it Paris-Brussels. There is in fact quite a gap from the start north of Paris before we actually started the race. And a lot of riders still wanting to make a mark at the end of the season. And there they are. There he is. Look, he's going back to the field. Look, Argentin's right in the centre there. Look, they're going straight past him. He hasn't got the strength at the moment to sit on a wheel. Well, that is surprising. I thought Argentin would have found... Yes, I think he's just now picking up a wheel. But he's still going backwards. Oh, so many bike riders know that feeling. You've been away, the thought of to move on the front, just 28 kilometres or less to go. I can see Vinstra on the far side there for the Buckler team. There, well, not now, but getting to the finish. The Motorola team will be marshalling their forces. They do want Anderson to get something. Anderson needs a substantial success towards the end of the season. Now after that layoff, there they go. Well, at least they didn't bounce over the green grass in the middle of that one. Bit of news, by the way, people know Christophe Lavienne, who, 3 years ago won a stage in the Nissan Classic There we are, bit of a climb coming up. There's now actually decided at the end of the season that he's not going to, and Sean Kelly in evidence, but he's not going to, Christophe Lavian, winner of a stage in the Nissan Tour of Ireland, he's not going to stay in the road racing scene next year. He's going over to America to ride in the mountain bike series. So there's another change for you, Christophe Lavian. A good cyclo-cross rider. He's had, a few bronze medals at the World Championship level, and he's been previously the French champion. So a lot of changes going on right now in the racing scene. It's a little drag. Nice to see Sean up there, looking in good form going into the Nissan Classic, which starts next week. Being led out now by one of his team riders, that's Melo Giannetti. And Sean just sitting back in the bunch at the moment. Well, Sean got a very good sprint, but how would he live against people like Olive Ludwig, who's still in the field at the moment? Adrian Jecker for Helvetia. We just had a quick look at him. Did extremely well in the Wincanton Classic at Leeds a few weeks ago. Another lad on fine form, but Helvetia's team still without a sponsor for next year. Well, this drag sorted him out a bit now. I'll wait till we go back down again. Problems with the pictures coming up from there. I mentioned by the Tour of Avenir how that Armstrong had taken that green jersey on board as the leader on the sprint section of the race. In fact, Hervé Gallo from RMO and Wust and Doyer have been actually dominating that one, but it was nice to see after the 8th stage, and I looked down the results, that number 16 was Perks of Great Britain, and of course I had to do a double take there. It wasn't his father John that I raced against some years ago, it's the young son riding for Great Britain, but not featuring way up in the overall classification, but he was still in there with a shout just behind Bazin of Russia. That was stage was run by Eric Decker, the man who took the silver medal in the Olympic Games, and he's now well on his way towards a pro contract with Young Rice's team for next year. They're splitting. That climb seems to have taken the zip out of some of the chasers. There, so he's just sort of rolling off the front. A little break has occurred. This was never a determined attempt. We watched this one while we were off air in the break. Yeah, I thought it wasn't too serious, but nope, the gaps are opening up. Look behind that one. Now these are some things that can happen, that suddenly towards the end, the bunch eases, they think they've done the work, they've got the sprinters up there, they've caught the breakaways, and little gaps open up, and this could be significant. Martin wasn't pushing it too hard though, when we saw that one last of all, but he's in there at the moment, and that's the group chasing. Let's wait till we go back down with our camera alongside the ride to see how serious this break is. Well, there it is. Martin is a good driver. Roche is in fine form, by the way. Somebody said to me the other day that would Stephen win the Nissan Classic this year? There's a fair chance. He's looking for something significant, and I think that Stephen is showing remarkable form at the moment, and that will be a nice thing to do in the last 7 years since the Nissan was first run, and it's the last one this coming edition, and I think that perhaps finishing in Dublin, the Dublin himself, Roach, might be in with a shout. Sponsor and show for yourself. But these are very good conditions indeed. I think I'll give you some idea of this little climb of the Alsenberg. Well, it broke up last year on this particular climb. This is the one I think now where perhaps many of the riders have been feeling that if they can just keep the pack together, that it could break apart on this particular climb. It's the one where last year Sorensen went away with Connie Shave, Dean Woods, Fidanza, Steinman, and off they went, and they were caught just 10 kilometres from the finish when Brian Holm just responded. So let's see if the same thing happens this time. This little climb then, stretching the legs already, and Johan Capio, that surprises me because Capio would be one of the riders who would be surely waiting for his TVM people to keep the thing together. Winner of races like the Paris Tours, and early on this year He was out in fine form sprinting. He's a good sprinter roadman, but he's gone to the front because it's a very narrow road here. I think what he's decided, he's got to stay up near the front. If he does split, it's no good being out, no good having the ability to sprint at the end if you're not in with the pack that matters. Here we are, see how narrow it is. With such a big field too. I think Capio's idea probably was just to get up there, and if he does start to go, he's in with a chance. So perhaps it's a good move as far as he's concerned. Well, Marston's still ploughing away here. And the Almsberg, imagine they've been riding now for some 220 odd kilometres, and you suddenly get this battering ram bolting up and down and like some riding a road drill. Ralph Sorensen on the front, looks like he might be dropped now as steer next year, and still Phil Anderson. Look at him bouncing along here. Sorensen, I think, desperate for some success. Disappointed last year in the crash which cracked his collarbone when he's wearing the yellow jersey in the Tour de France. And now Anderson right in the middle. What a cracking picture we've got here. The Cameron right in the bottom bracket. Well, the rest of the field haven't let him get too far at the front. A profusion of Motorola jerseys as well, so they're up there. See, look at it, Bauer's just gone through. Plenty of bucklers about the place, the odd Panasonic. And it has cracked just a little bit. That great ride by Sorensen, marked by Anderson, and I think it's Marston's up there as well. So this looks like a useful little group, but they haven't really managed to punch enough out, I don't think. So it all Sorensen looking back over his shoulder. Marston's in there at the moment. Anderson and Rees is the other one I didn't pick up. So Ron Rees from the Yellow Steer team, here he is, the Danish rider. National champion at the front. Well, these are four cracking riders, by the way, so if they're prepared to... You see how, there we are, the injury to Anderson's knee, all voluntarily strapped up, and the rest of the field still within sight of this little group. He gave himself a few bob and a few points on the FICP classification. And Jesper Skibby's in there. There's another very good rolling rider too. In fact, TVM have put quite a number of their big hitters, but you can see the Bainfields coming back to that group of some 40 riders, so perhaps the day might still be there for works out the next act. And you see the team cars are so far back now, they can't come up and start giving instructions to the riders. It's all down to the riders on the road. Often we've seen the team cars come up, the managers say this, drop back boy, don't do that. But under these circumstances, when they're going just flat out, they're right on the rivet all the way through, and at these circumstances the team cars can't get up there, and it's every man for himself. A little drag then towards the finish, and these little drags all the time will be the ones that will, I think, work in the favour of that little four-man group out at the front. Waiting till they clear out of the bushes, and there they are. Oh, devastation! Like Napoleon's retreat from Moscow, fear, death and famine, they're all split all over the place. That little hill has certainly had its effect, and so too on the leading foursome. They grovelling likewise. Anderson looks very strong indeed, he's still there too. And no, I'm just looking down the road, in fact Anderson's blown, as has Weiss as well, so Bjorn Weiss is out of this one, gritting his teeth. It looks like Sorensen, the one that's clopped off together with Marston. Now, has Anderson, through lack of racing miles, been unable to hold these two riders up in front, or was that a move on his part? Delightful Chateau, nice part of the world, but there are Sorensen and Marston, 10 seconds, main bunch 24. This is going to be a fair old chase into Brussels, and with those tricky finish, by the way, that if you just come on air and switch on your telly and haven't heard about the early part of this race, I was saying that going into Brussels last year we went round the ring road and caused just consternation and brought the whole of the Brussels to a halt, which I suppose, considering the problems we got with the ERM and the problems of Marcy and everything else, is not a bad thing. Anyway, they brought it to a halt last year, and this year we're coming a slightly different route, and we don't hit the main road until about a kilometre from the finish, and it's quite tricky, the chops and changes, and ducking and diving through the back streets a bit, so perhaps a little group of 4 or 2 or 3 or 4 men could still keep out of sight, out of mind. Well, Sorensen's a bit concerned about this one looking back. I don't know why he doesn't get on with the job, because and Martin isn't going too quickly, which rather surprised me, because he's got that sort of ability that the distance we've got left would really... And there you are, the 2 of them on the front. So 2 from Denmark, 1 from Australia, 1 from Holland. I don't think they were showing much force at the front, or Carrera, unless any of those teams. They're the ones that matter now. Festina, Carrera, and Chatterdax, Gatorade, and Panasonic. They're the ones that have chased this down, and TVM. So about 5 teams still in with a shout, but they haven't seen him much at the front. Very tricky run in this one. Certainly suits his 4-man group. Martin just drifting off the front, back in, so he started to work there. Martin was not the driving force behind this break further down the road, but I think he's now decided there's a fair chance, and he might as well throw his lot in with these people. In fact, except for, to me, Anderson is the best sprinter, by the way, and Sorensen's ripping away, and Martin's got to chase him. It's going to be all these 4, except for Anderson's got a pretty good sprint. You see, look, he doesn't know what to do now, because there, see, Rice won't chase him down, the Ariostea rider. He won't chase down Sorensen, and Anderson's got to work out now whether to stay doggo and just sit on wheels, or whether he's got to chase them down. That must have been a worry for him. I think we're seeing the finish sorted out between these 4 riders. I could have it terribly wrong. My size 12s, I'll have to eat them before I finish, I suspect. Foot-in-mouth job. We said this before, and Discover the Bunch comes up to them. But there's a sort of element about this one which says to me, if these 4 keep driving it away, they're going to stay there. But they've split. And that, in fact, could be to the detriment of the 4-man group, because Sorensen certainly... is showing a lot of strength, but I don't think Martin is. Look, he's not going to come off his wheel. Look. Martin is just poised. He's not. He's going to let Sorensen bury himself. Look, as he swings over, he stays there. Going to have one of those big bunch sprints finishes, which have been so much the type. Anyway, you can see now where we are. And that little tricky bit, see where the figure 2 is, by the way, and Hetzaval, they come round that one. It's a very, very sharp left-hand bend, and they swing round. They go past the Palace of Justice, and then past the Stock Exchange, and then straight down the finishing straight. Anderson's got a passenger. Oh, he's coming through. You see the crowd on the left-hand side, the cars stopped from going home, and the barriers are there. But it's Belgium, it's bike racing. Would you believe if we did this in London, how happy they'd be on an evening at just gone 7 o'clock at Central European time. So we've not got much more on the band, another 3 or 4 minutes to go. People out their cars and watching the riders go by. Well, Sorensen and Martin, I wouldn't like to say which of these 2 has got a shout for the success. For my money, if Anderson gets up them, he's got the greatest sprint to unleash to go past them, but can he get there? You see him in the distance, under the underpass and out the other side. Eventually lost on the ground. Then the battle between these 2 riders swinging around this very tight little twisting circuit. I say we come off the route we took in last year where it was on the ring road, and now this will help the breakaway groups. This is Anderson and Rice. Anderson is getting away just fractionally at the moment, bouncing over the pavé, some 258 kilometres in all today. Imagine the tired bodies and the bones jangling as they hit that surface, and now it's officially given us 9 seconds back between Sorensen and Marston at the front, and Rice and Anderson, who could be battling only for third place. So the Australian, first Australian ever to win or to wear a yellow jersey in the Tour de France, looking for some success now. It might be only the success which comes with a third place in this great classic race. Third place last year, Johan Museeuw, not riding this year because having crashed in the training just a couple of days before the World Championship and cracked his collarbone, he's not riding. Olaf Ludwig, second last year, is trapped in the pack behind, hasn't got a chance either. So these are the two at the front, searching now. It won't be long before they see that 1 kilometre to go. And Sorensen is burying himself on the front. He's certainly been doing a little bit more work than Marston between these two. And I think Marston probably, when it comes to winding it up with about 500-600 kilometres to go, he's probably slightly the stronger of the two, but who's to say? They're probably very equally matched. And Sorensen looking back to the traffic, that's why he's saying out the way. See how his hand moved there? They want to make certain that Anderson isn't coming up hidden behind the traffic. And there we are, they've moved out. And you can see the two, that gap is 9 seconds. I'm sure it's less than it was before. Anderson then looking back, now that's it. Somehow we're watching first and second here, third and fourth behind. They've now decided that the chase is over and Marston is in a difficult position. He will not get Sorensen off his wheel, except when Sorensen unleashes that sprint. So Marston has got to ride flat out down toward the finish, hoping that he can blunt Sorensen, and Sorensen is going to come up alongside him now. Marston on the right hand side, Sorensen on the left. At the moment Marston has the edge on, but Sorensen is coming past him now. Sorensen and Marston, this is going to be close. I think Sorensen got it by no more than half a wheel. Marston just dying at the end, and as far as Anderson's concerned, he's got third place. And the Adios Steer rider, Rice, will be happy with that one because his teammate got first place and Ludwig powers in. He wanted to win this one, but no, you've only got Ludwig. I don't even think he got fifth place in the end. He was throwing his arms up and two riders came past him. Olaf, you better mess with that one. Silly had a great win the Grand Prix for me last week, and winner of the Amstel Gold as well, and leader on the World Cup Series. So I think Olaf Ludwig, who's moving on to the Telecom team next year, didn't get the victory he'd hoped for, but nevertheless triumphantly threw his arms up in the air. And yes, so they've got Alberto Elli down as fifth, so just shows you, all you watchers at home, aspiring bike riders, that this throwing your arms in the air and saying jubilation I've won doesn't work, because there's always somebody comes up a little bit quicker than you do and pops across the line. And of course that means A, a lot of FICP points, and B, a few bob in the bank less than you thought you're going to get. Here we are, sprint coming up. Sorensen just looking at a little bit sharper in the sprint. Marston, who rode that very hard time trial on Sunday, the Grand Prix Eddie Merckx, that blunts you a bit. Sorensen didn't ride that one. They got it by, it's a good wheel actually, a bit more than I thought. No doubt about the third place. Anderson easily coming in there, because as far as Rice is concerned, he'd done his job. He'd marked Anderson out, because Anderson undoubtedly, if he'd been there, was the strongest true sprinter of this lot. I think Anderson will be happy to get back in the third place.